prepare to drop onto Nyx's eye. Because that's where we're going. I know it's a default map, but nobody really plays here that much. I like this map. It's big. It's real big. It's actually not that big, but it feels huge because of this really gigantic open middle area that's very easy to get murdered inside of and that all the points can see. There's one big rock in the middle for cover. It's not very good cover. ANS team pretty concentrated on the midline here. OSP team looks like they're going to be spreading out upper and lower. These guys are presumably going to loop around over here to Bravo. These guys to Delta. But we'll see. Team 1, ANS, Team 2, OSP. That's how I like it. So that's what we're going to keep on doing. This guy's customized this ship, or that, or he's really random to that number. We're dropping down the ANS team. Teal and black over here. Who are you? Nick. Nick. Just Nick. Nicholas. Whole lot of PD. That's what I like to see. This is a very safe ship. It's got guns, but it doesn't have too many guns. This is about as stock of an Axford as you can get. Ammo elevators. Which, actually, I don't think do anything on this. I don't remember. ANS ammo elevators are... I can never remember what they're good for and what they're not, because how the ANS stuff works is different than the OSP, and I don't really use guns. I use missiles. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. We have a Candid 3 launcher here with hybrids. The mass driver. One single mass driver. That could actually be really good. Just for proc and debuffs on ships. Especially if it's firing at Ocellos or monitors. Proccing debuffs on ships that the rest of the fleet is fighting. We got defensive reins. We got Paris Scouts. Okay, so this is a really standard fleet. I respect it. We've been seeing a lot of weird stuff. These are presumably just fighting voxels. Yeah, fighting voxels. With AMMs, except for one, which brought a... we brought AMMs as well, but he also brought... Come on, give me the thingy. Some hybrids. 6 of them. Not too many, but enough. We've got another Schleswig Holstein, which is... That's a good name. He's got... Oh, God. Okay. So, yeah, this is our local World War I German Empire representation here. We got an absolute absurd amount of point defense. We got some guns. We got some missiles too. Okay, there are AMMs. Strong, robust Solomon. That's not gonna just get blown up by a bunch of missiles that anyone could have protected from. With a little Eeyore sprinter. Just a jammer on wheels is what that is. It's just a anti-radar dish on a drive. Is that only point defense on this? Yep. It's that is an exclusively point defense voxel. Okay, so I said point defense is required. This is too much. This is too much point defense. Don't do this. Yeah, and this has tons. And what are you doing with this ship? The ship has the potential to be completely wasted. It has no direct combat potential. It can only defend against missiles. I mean, it's going to be very good at that, but if your opponent doesn't... This is a huge gamble in the opposite direction of bringing no point defense. You're gambling that your enemy is relying exclusively on missiles, and these will be able to handle that. And if you're right, you win, and if you're not, you lose, because you just don't have enough guns. Now, let's see how well that's going to pay off for a few missiles on these ships, but they brought guns. They brought big guns, big nipple guns right on the front. Strong casemates with some T-30s for swatting. And a little scout. A couple jammers, a little bit of point defense. Okay. So low-key bringing... Oh, boy. Alright, that's actually going to be really good against this ship. Well, depending on how much... I'm a soft touch. He's bringing a lot. So, man, missiles and guns on this. That's actually a really good idea. Because you can fight things with missiles or guns, depending on what your target is and what they're bringing to bear and what they have to defend. You're not hard committed to anything. That's pretty good, especially on these line ships, because those front guns... Oh, there's rapid cyclers. So he's going to be able to brawl, or to shoot and bomb. The downside, of course, being you don't have two of these shooting at the same time. You just have the one, which will be firing missiles. Bloodhound and EWR tugs. To keep an eye on things. We have a rail fleet as well, out of the OSP. Rails and match drivers. With a scout. Okay. Looks like these had decoys that they fired off early. Yeah. No, that's not what was fired. They do have decoys. Chaff! Decoy. They had mines that they fired off early. Not sure where those mines went. Ah, there they are.
The enemy is securing zone
They're just gonna pop onto Alpha. That's not really gonna do anything. I mean, it's gonna delay some people. But this is just out in the open. Anyone could see these and shoot these. Don't do that with your mines. What about Quick Load? ANS player on the OSP team. Two budget Axfords with big guns and big point defense. Ready to fight, ready to scrap. How he handles it will be another question. You really want to be bows hanging with these? It's kind of the only way they don't get shot to shreds. They're really strong against voxels, though, with this setup.
The enemy is securing zone common.
There's one fighting voxel team. Oh, these are probably going to connect. Actually, so that could be a very good thing. Chaff decoy coming out. That means missiles are coming in from somewhere. Unless it's just decoying just to decoy. Unfortunately, we're getting to the this map big portion of Nyx's Eye, where even though you're over here, just kind of chilling on a point in roughly the halfway center of the map, everyone in the opposing forces spawn can see you. And if they can see you, they can shoot you. Well, they can shoot at you. They might not be able to hit you, although these are definitely landing. It's coming out of that Solon. This is definitely 450s, and the fire coming out of the Axford is probably 450s as well. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This Osella team's in big trouble, because 450s, I said they were strong against voxels. That's because the voxels fire 250s, and 250s don't perform very well against this armor. The 450s, on the other hand, perform extremely well against this armor. Especially if it's not angled correctly, as this player is not doing. He's just move commanding his ships without worrying about heading, which means he's going to be hitting on broadside, which also means big, juicy compartment hits with no deflections. Some even punching through. That's how much damage these have already taken. And, oh man. This ship's... It might not make it out. This sun drive is just a couple hits away from... It's one hit away, actually, from being not a drive anymore. He's only got the one drive, it looks like? Ah, no, here it is. Okay, so this is out, but it's getting repaired. It hasn't been destroyed somehow. Surprised it's not grayed out since it's at 0%. Taking a lot of damage. Let's see how much damage are they dishing out. Quite a bit in turn. Let's go take a look at his voxel. Ah, his voxel's also getting shelled by the artillery team. Right into that drive block. Which could be very dangerous. Trying to get out of vision, but a lot of the damage is already done. Of course, overall the ANS team, in particularly significantly, I should say, man, my words are all jumbled today. Significantly better shape than this ship. This ship is being seen at and shot at by significantly more players. A lot of these ships probably aren't even coming over here to fight. They're just like flying around. Yeah, like this. This thing's not... It has no plans probably to go to Delta. It's just in range and there's nothing else in range, so might as well shoot. They did manage to cap Delta, but that is a significant combat loss. I think this thing's gonna... The back end of this is steadily gonna get whittled down, and it's not gonna be able to dip out of vision. Although it is far enough away that the tracks are bad, so it might just survive anyways. Sun drive just went out. What's going on the rest of the map? Nothing, actually. These guys are flying over here. You can't see these guys. They're behind the rock. Scout. 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 Missiles! Oh my. That is a lot of missiles. Good old roll-off launcher. He's gonna get punished for it. A lot of gunfire coming out, but not too much damage. Huge volley of AMMs, some RPF, huge volley of AMMs, probably too many AMMs actually, especially considering how much raw PD this thing has on it. Yeah. They eat up a lot of AMMs early on. That might... Well, no, there's not really anyone else who can capitalize on it, though. Yes, these guys have some missiles, but most of the OSP's missiles are concentrated right on this guy, who is taking a lot of damage. And his missiles coming back, and the PD is not significant. Those decoys and hybrids... Man, how expensive are those missiles? Oh my god. Decoy hybrids are not doing that much. The cells managed to chase off the sprinter from the German team, I guess. These components are going down fast. There's a problem with only having one gunner line ship and filling it up with missiles and guns is that without two ships firing, you're not going to get that much damage down the field in one volley. Or one reload, I should say. And these missile launchers, though they are very strong, they're not strong enough against this kind of point defense. They're really good at abusing people who didn't bring that much point defense, but this ANS team brought a lot of point defense. Why do those keep missing? Well, what is the deal with this track? Oh, it's an EWR track, that's what the deal is. So it's completely useless for shooting. Because that's not what that's for. It's for early warning. It's the name, early warning radar. Missiles coming out. These guys are coming over here and capping this point. They're going to be poking their nose out, and these voxels are probably going to turn to engage them. Those missiles. This is a more standard game. Those last two games have been whack as hell, and I've been... My poor voice. I've been whooping and hollering and getting excited over all the weird stuff going on. Easy. Those are just gonna miss. Oh, okay. No, they saw them. But this is the Ultra PD team. Completely unnecessary. If you had guns on this and normal point defense on both of these, those would have been deflected, but... Some people like to gamble. And that is what that is. That is a gamble. Funnily enough, I don't think he's going to get punished too hard for it, just because the OSP team doesn't seem to be playing that well. Just like these two pushing up on their own, extremely confident, like behaving like Axfords, which they are not. These are not Axfords. They can't behave like Axfords. You can't just burn forward and be like, yeah, I can just kind of take whatever fight I want. As long as it's a fair fight, I win. No, they don't have the armor for that. They're significantly under-armored, and they're a little under-gunned, and they're certainly under-point defense compared to something like this. Got 50 exactly what you want to be firing at this Axford, though. Seems to be firing slower. Yeah, one of the rapids is down. Are these not engaged each other yet? No, looks like not. The monitor fleet's still burning real slow. What the hell? Yard drive. Yard drive formation flying. Yeah. Just barely moving. We're cool 14 minutes in, and they've managed to come from over here to over here and not do anything. I'm sure this player is having a very fun time out playing the game at all. Fortunately, he has a scout, which also has mostly just been chilling over here. And here we have the problem with these alpha mines. You just blow them up because you can see them from a million miles away. Although this ship is having some trouble hitting it. There we go. Gun battle continues, and the Axford is unsurprisingly winning, since it can just take the duel instead of having to deal with the ship bouncing in and out of cover. In fact, with that in mind, Nix's Eye might be a pretty abysmal match for the OSP, because it can't do cutesy wootsy line ship tactics, since all the cover, there's not that much cover, but what is here is really big. Finding some good connects on this Solomon. That's good for the OSP team. The damage to go anywhere? No, don't fire at something else. Oh no, that was just a terrific miss. No, but for the most part, there haven't been that many punch throughs. That was one, obviously. A lot of these have just been getting buried in the Solomon ship, which means they're doing absurd amounts of damage to these internals. This ship is feeling the pain. Viola getting bonked by the strong argument. Strong. We have another volley of missiles. Pretty small, and this isn't going to do anything. It's going to be cleaned up by point defense, or it's not going to be cleaned up by point defense because it's going to slam into this wall. Big problem. Looks like this is speaking of slamming into the wall. Nope. Nice. Track fire, that worked. How about that? What a crazy world we live in. All that, one still gets through. Okay. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm talking about. In fact, I definitely have no idea what I'm talking about. These monitors continue their march across the map, completely uninterested in fighting. Completely uninterested in assisting their team around the middle of the map. They desire cap. So they're going to float around here, they're going to run into this Axford, and they're going to get annihilated. Especially if they target the support ship first. Although it looks like this player is breaking and retreating. Yeah, he's retreating. While not angling his ship to keep his guns on target. Bothers me. With just one single hybrid going after the master driver team. We'll come back to you in a little bit when you're closer. I'm gonna see this thing get blown up. A lot of PD. Nice. Chaff doing the work it is meant to do. Point defense handling the rest. These ships are gonna run out of missiles real quick. Doing that. Why do I have a feeling this is going to explode on its own before it actually gets to target? Yeah, it's gonna run out of fuel. Yeah, I ran out of fuel. It's not there anymore. I mean, these might have shot it, but they were being pretty inaccurate with the grape shot, so I'm thinking it just ran out of gas. Both of these Ocellos pretty beaten down. Oh boy!
The enemy is securing Zone
It's,
Atlas.
wait, is he firing just size 1s at a Solomon? Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. So size 1s are being thrown away on Solomon. Okay. It's very confusing to me. Solomon is also shooting his allied missiles. And it's also very confusing to me. Bonk. Should have kept an eye on this. Bonk. Top Gun out. Most of the drive section is out. Got a few restores, but I don't think he's going to be resurrecting this fleet anytime soon. Look at that chef. He didn't do anything. Unfortunate. Is this guy gonna go on Alpha and just die? I think this guy's just gonna fly onto Alpha and die. No, he's trying to just barely scooch his ship in there and cap the point so these don't need to be cleared. What a genius. I love it. Gunfire going into that Axford now. Oh man, it's taking a lot of damage. Well, because of this. You didn't keep your guns angled and on target. You just turned and burned. And Axfords can't really do that very effectively. So while this thing was just rotating around and flying away, the monitors were flying towards it and firing, resulting in its death.
The enemy secured Zone Atlas.
Good show out of this monitor fleet. Out of, who are you? Chardonnay Mims, who was, kind of not playing the game for a pretty good chunk of the match. And then just cleaned up an Axford that he should have lost against. Very nice. Well, he hasn't cleaned it up yet. He has killed it, effectively. It's still on line, but it's not maneuvering. If you can't maneuver, those guns can't get into position to fire. He's gonna fire at that for a while. Nick. No. JDB capping Alpha with mines nearby the point. Zero concern, no worries. This Sicelo burning away, pointing his butt towards the enemy, and it's getting blasted. This Sicelo doing the same thing, although fortunately for it, no one can see it at this angle. Pretty even game overall, I think. Because, well, no, not with this going down. See, it's mostly been even damage. But, the ANS team hasn't taken any hard losses other than this frigate. But they are heavily bruised. A lot of their main force is heavily bruised. On the flip side, the OSP team has taken definitely a hard loss, a soft loss, and another soft loss. You're gonna die before too long, dog. No way. And then the sprinters coming over here, playing the absolute best of the best on the mind games front. He's running around up top, afraid of the Ocellos, but now that they've been taken care of, he's looping down around to Cap Dagger. Very nice. Whoa. Guess we missed that. But that exploded, obviously, and it roasted this Axford that can barely move. And it's struggling so hard to move, which means all these guns are going to do a whole lot more damage than they really should be, except for the Grape Shot, which is going to do no damage, because Grape Shot doesn't really do damage. It's for killing crew. And that's, getting it to do that is kind of tricky. This Voxel's still eating mass drive around after mass drive around. But you really need them to be supporting ships that are already fighting. Because if they're just spamming at ships, they won't be able to out-damage the DC teams, at least not by very much.
The enemy is securing Zone Dagger.
This Voxel is also gonna. This Voxel fresh, completely fresh. This one's damaged. And then Ugrim is, I mean, this ship's, well, it's fresh, but it's not a combat ship. This is relatively fresh. Yeah, combat capacity, the ANS team is damaged, but by no means significantly damaged. The OSP combat capacity has been dramatically reduced. I guess this Axford will eventually go down. Gonna waste missiles on it for the finisher. They're gonna miss. Several of them miss. 2 land. And I understand it. Something to realize, and this is for you, dear viewer, as well as me, is that the players on the battlefield don't get this screen for any ships other than their own. So they have no idea how messed up this thing really is on the inside, other than what you can see here, and this handful of intel notes on the track, like not under command, unpowered, things of that nature. Of course, when the drive kicks on, that's when you should really be worried. Of course, these guys don't need to be worried because there are no guns ready. But drives being alive is usually a sign of trouble, immense trouble. Echo going to eventually be captured by the ANS forces here. Dagger's already been captured. ANS exerting very strong map control. Unfortunately, there's a rail fleet out of the OSP isn't really contributing all that much. And it's adding. It's putting damage down the field. But damage is not what the ANS team needs right now. It needs map control. Looks cool, though. Looks very cool. Are these just going to sit here and shoot at this until it's dead? Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Instead of, just firing at it while driving forward and looping over to Charlie and maybe surprising the ANS fleet from behind, these ships are going to just sit here at range and pop the Greater Hoof Behemoth. That's not the Greater Hoof Behemoth. That is. Odd decision. It's just Celos turned back around and trying desperately to hold on to Delta. I don't think that's gonna last long, if at all. I don't think he's gonna make it to Delta. He's gonna get halfway there, and the Saxford and the Solomon are gonna blow him out of the sky. Maybe not. Looks like this isn't targeted to fire. He's just flying around. I'm not really sure. He's going over here to Charlie to assist and fight these alongside his ungunned voxel buddy. Dedicated point defense cruiser, what is that? Who does that? Well, that guy obviously is who does that. These just sitting still, so they're gonna be ripe targets for those mass drivers, even with bad tracks. Movement is life. It's very important. By the way, evasion, for those of you who didn't read the blog post or the patch notes, yeah, evasion now actually does something when you're just in general. It actually does something. It's not just a nice little thing that's on your screen. You can use it when you're sitting still, and your ship will just randomly translate around a little bit to make it harder for opposing forces with bad tracks to hit you. Like this, because if you're just sitting there, it doesn't matter if the track's kind of bad. It's not moving, so it's easy to maintain an accurate firing solution. This is all being told that he's dead, and yeah, he is. I think this one's coming around too. Yeah. Trying to do anything, but they're going to get wiped out by this Solomon, who has taken a fair bit of damage. Man, that front end is just ruined. Look at the lack of thrusters. Damn, those are the things that smashed into one of these rocks. These are so desperately trying to... Oh, dumping a bunch of chaff where they were. I don't know how effective that's going to be. especially since the chaff is fading and moving. A bad idea. Looks like these are on the move as well. You can see their drive plumes, their drive exhaust. Ion trail? Yeah, we're gonna go with ion trail. This monitor's a little beat up, but they can still fight. And they can definitely fight this thing, which does not have enough. It's just this. It's not enough. Hopefully they don't open fire into the voxel when it comes around the corner. Saxford. Okay, it's dead. It's got 0. It can technically still cap. At 1 meter a second, I don't think it's going to be making it to any points before the end of this game. He's firing missiles. Where are they going? I don't know where these are going. Thunderheads. Presumably this voxel team down here. In fact, if he gets the solo voxel, well, it'll just die because it's already almost dead. Yep, that's what they're going for. Getting railed. And it's about to get even more railed. Kaboom, baby. Look at that. Beautiful. Dead. Just immediately dead. I mean, y'all can keep firing at it if you want, if they're gone. Surprised I haven't seen or tried to mess around with the scouts at all, because mass drivers could annihilate sprinters. They can really do that much. Although there's not that many mass drivers, there's a pretty even split between mass drivers and rails. We need a lot of mass drivers because rails suck against sprinters. Because they won't do much in the way of meaningful damage. The Solomon's still fighting over Dagger. And it is just the Solomon. The Ocellos are there, but they're not really fighting. Monitor's spoiling for a fight. Unfortunately, they're not going to find one. Well, now he's flanking. After the very slow burn around Delta side. Or Bravo side? Yeah, Bravo side. That's Delta side. It's easy to get him backwards. Cello grayed out. Truly dead. Voxel is effectively dead. Presumably a reinforced CIC and a reinforced drive keeping it alive below. That's not going to be lasting very long. 4 crits. I don't think you can fix that. Even with 3 DC teams in there, I don't think they're going to be able to fix it. That's a message to the DC teams. We're on the Dandelion Wine. Dandelion Wine? That's a great name. That's gonna be you soon. Higher water, moonshine. Those are less unique. Dandelion Wine. Yeah, there it goes. Kaboosh. Ah, look at that. Isn't that lovely? Shout out to everyone with epilepsy who I just harmed physically by showing that. Sorry. This guy hasn't done anything. I don't know what he's been shooting at, but he's about to be chewed apart by monitors. Monitors with big guns are exactly what you want against these. Just trying to get into position. He was aiming this direction. I don't know why. He's just floating around, and that's what he ended up aiming at. That solo is done. It's not going anywhere. It's not dead, but it's dead. It's mostly just trying to stay in cover, it seems. This destroyer, I mean. Very odd. Oh boy, more missiles. Going into the super duper anti-missile brigade, you know, normally to be like, wonder if these missiles will connect or not. No. No missiles are getting into these guys. And then, especially now if they're over-firing decoys. What is that? Someone hurt this man. This man got completely annihilated by missiles in the game, and now overbrings... Yeah, that's way too many decoys. And now dramatically overbrings point defense. Of course, if he can get them firing at the voxel, it's very good for the Axford, because that voxel doesn't have guns. I mean, it has guns, but it doesn't have guns. So it can't really shoot back. Not that much of a threat. And since these guys are just about out of missiles, yeah, not that high of a priority either. Solomon slowly slinking across the battlefield, slowly continuing to fire at the assaults. Not even slinking across the battlefield anymore, just parked out here in open space. Full view of the mass driver team, parked. Full view of the monitor team who's going to be firing missiles, and looks like none of them are going to get through. Big surprise. Just parked, firing at this other Oscilla, who is also parked, technically. But he's parked because all the people inside are dead, and all the electricity inside is dead, and all the things that make the ship go nyum nyum is dead. Voxel's still getting shot at by these 450s. I can understand wanting to fire at the Voxel because you're going to be able to do more damage to that than the Axford, but you ought to notice at some point that the Axford is the only thing that's shooting back. Even if you can't see the gun mounts.
The enemy is securing zone common.
Where are you gonna go? 10 minutes left in the game. Very even on point. In fact, OSP advantage on point. OSP might take the game anyways. Ocello's MVP for tying down so much firepower over here for so long, if that's the case. Because this fleet, and then this fleet, and then these guys were kind of over here and just fighting. But if the OSP team can, they can maintain the points, that's a win. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be real close. Especially depending on what this has on it. No guns, which means this destroyer could just fly down here and cap this MBD. Birds going off in space. Presumably they were fired at these guys originally. Why are y'all so close? Axford player looking to ramp. Well, to be fair, he can't fire these that close, obviously. Unless they're going somewhere unknown. They might be flying over to sightsee this giant space butterfly demon thing, and then turning around and coming back and hitting him in the butt. I highly doubt that is the case. But it could be. It could be. Important to keep an open mind. Some of these are getting blown up. A couple of them can't get turned around to fire at their targets. I guess that's a very effective way of using your space, is getting in close and forcing your opponent to turn and fight you. And if they can't, they're going to be in big trouble. As we're seeing. Speaking of big trouble, Raynor here is dying. And is dying even harder. Ironically, to missiles. Poor ship. What do we got going on over here? Lucas' team, who I'm convinced hasn't. Oh, these guys are the master guys. Good reposition. Good reposition. Looks like Dagger's getting capped. Close game on the points. ANS definitely has the tactical advantage. No question. No question.
The enemy secured zone
The
Dagger.
SP could just win anyways. Just waiting for this destroyer to land a mass driver in the right spot on this tug and
The
kill it.
enemy is securing zone
Straight up
Commons.
grayed out.
The enemy is securing zone common.
Thunk. Meaty hits. Out of those mass drivers on this Axford. Solomon firing at the tug. Oh no. Barely missing. OSP team up by 100 points and only 100 out from the end. This team just needs to hold a couple points, a couple caps. Contesting Echo, but if you can't capture it entirely, that's not going to mean squad. Although if you can capture it entirely, that could be big.
The enemy secured zone Eclipse.
Yeah, these voxels had already moved off. Alright, coming back to recap.
The enemy secured zone Comet. The enemy is securing zone Eclipse.
Is this thing going towards Bravo at 5 MS? Look at it go. Look at it go. This is what I'm here for. This is, all right. Here it is. This is the game. See, whenever anyone's like, ah, Nebula's just too slow.
5 minutes remain.
We should just... I need to clip this. And show this. Like, oh, no, you think it's slow? This is what it could be. Take real world days to get around these space maps. God.
The enemy is securing zone Atlas.
This Axford just going in for the direct fire, punching, I appreciate it, and then just looping around these monitors to try to keep them always turning, unable to track him while his turrets rotate and fire with ease. Very clever. Pullman over here, standing off and firing. Didn't manage to kill this tug, but the destroyer pushed him off of Charlie. OSP team gonna cap Alpha. I think that's the OSP's game. I really do. I don't see a world where the ANS comes back from this point wise. And even if they do, I think it would take too long. I think the timer would run out. Bless whoever suggested this, by the way. I don't remember who it was, but it was one of the very first videos I put out. You guys are like, yeah, this is why we put timers, because just sort of flying around waiting sucks. You need to play the points game. And sometimes people fly around and wait anyways. But this has been an interesting way of playing the points game. At least I think it has. These ships gotta get up there and cap that point. This one isn't moving. And this one isn't really moving either. It's turning and it's trying to burn. It's still a ways away from that circle though. Or sphere. Yeah, that's Alpha and Bravo. That's OSP win. No way. And its team can take it back after that. OSP still trying to get damage down on these voxels. This is trying so hard. I don't even think you make it to Bravo before the game ends. I appreciate the effort though of never giving up and trying so hard, especially since they've been down for most of the match, but they've also kind of been winning most of the match, military wise anyways. Down point wise, up military wise. Oh, I really enjoyed the Alpha play. The guy cleared the mines on the point and then just nudged himself onto the point to avoid pulling off those mines. Funnily, I think if these if all these scout sprinters had switched to point grabbing once it became clear that the ANS was winning and winning militarily very strongly, they could have just flown around and capped points, and now it'd be an ANS victory, and I'd be kind of annoyed at the OSP for staying in the game because it was very obvious that they didn't have a chance, but that didn't happen. They stayed scouting, even though pretty much all the intel they could gain has already been gleaned, especially this, just with a Pinard. And that is an OSP win on a very interesting game. It was good. Let's get into the AAR here. Doing work. More gun capitals just kicking ass. It's good. It's real good, especially against smaller fleets. I mean, most of the damage it did was against those Ocellos, no question, but it fought that line ship and output a little bit of damage to some of the tugs on the opposite side of the map. Not that much though. It struggled with tracks. This Voxel team, what did y'all do? This is a Voxel team that went through the line ship to the OSP spawn to cap their natural point, and then rotated around. I guess they just didn't have that much to shoot at that was in range. They were getting shot at a lot by mass drivers and a little bit by missiles, but they just didn't have anything in range of their 250s for the most part. Wow. On a rail ship? Oh, okay, the missiles. Well, most of that damage came from. About to say 4,500 damage on one single rail cannon seems really, really strong. And it would be, because these don't do that much damage, unfortunately, for the player here. It's pretty normal. Scout sprinters that could have done way more. And then this team that also could have done way more. If this Voxel had any guns. Just... why? Why do you have two super greedy ships? This needs to be a specialized fleet that you play with your friends group, I think. Who's, the guy you know who's always going to be spamming missiles, right? That's where you bring this out on. You definitely don't bring it to just a pub game. That's gambling. It's straight up gambling. Monitor team did a pretty good job against that Axford that presented his booty to his enemy and decided he didn't want to live anymore. So, there are those. This poor thing didn't get a chance to do that much. It got blown out of the water before it really did much of anything. Expended a lot more missiles than I was expecting. Honestly, every single one of them hard killed. Unfortunate. Only thing they got through was one of these. Yeah. Rail Ocello. Again, more damage than I'm really expecting of these. And this one doesn't have an alternative weapon as an excuse. It's all just these railguns. Yeah. It's a lot of debuffs. It's not a lot of damage, but it is a lot of debuffs. Teamwork for the mass drivers, comparable damage out of 1. Comparable-ish out of 2. I mean, 1.5 times. Thereabouts of that Ocello's direct damage. So pretty good. Better showing of these than I'm used to experiencing in multiplayer, and that's very good. Unfortunately, these Ocellos experienced exactly what I was expecting in multiplayer, which is to say, kind of bad. They floated around, they shot, they pointed their butt towards their enemy, and they got blown on the hell up. Because that's what happens when you're not using your armor effectively. So this has been yet another PSA from the front towards enemy. The Claymore Commission. Yeah, and that's the end of the AAR. A little more of a normal game. Nice change of pace from the wild, wacky Styx games. But I hope we get back to weird here before too long, because that's where I live, baby. And until then, good night.